Good day, everyone, on this very special day, the 20th of June, World Refugee Day. My name is Saskia Harkema, and I'm CEO and founder of Face of Change and Impact Leaders International. And let me first tell you a little bit about myself. I founded Face of Change in 2010. And this resulted in also developing in 2018 a program which we called Impact Leaders International. And Face of Change has been working since it started for refugees, which we regard as talent on the move. So it has always been our mission to highlight the potential that refugees have. And this is how we also have positioned them. And our program on impact leaders is meant also to emphasize the importance of thinking about impact leadership as a means to contribute to communities and societies, and also the importance of peace building. You see here Nursia Afridi. She is here with me. She's one of our team. Nursia Afridi, she comes from Pakistan, a rural area of Pakistan bordering with Afghanistan. And she is an acclaimed and recognized human rights defender who has won many prizes and with whom I've also recently written a book on empowerment. Before I introduce our very, very special guest for this occasion, I would like to share a beautiful sonnet. And so let me share a video, and afterwards I will tell a little bit about this beautiful sonnet. And who's the writer of this impressive and beautiful sonnet? That's Subhem Mustafa. He comes from Syria. And I would like to ask him to introduce himself, but I would also like him to read the sonnet to the audience because they've been able to read it. But I would like you to read it too.
Saskia, thank you very much. I'm really moved and touched by your kindness. And thank you so much for inviting me to be with you today on this very special day. Uh, I know you are very polite and you use the term talent on the move, and you are too gentle to say refugees, but I'm Subhi. I'm a Syrian refugee from Syria, and I'm proud to be a refugee. So uh, I'm really privileged and honored to be with Impact Leaders International. Nursia, good evening, and thank you very much for all the effort you made for this podcast. Also, I extend my greetings to the dear friends Pim the Box and Karen Bier, and my beloved sister Sadet Özdemir. I can never forget what you did for me in Turkey back in 2019. So uh, this sonnet speaks what's in my heart, and I hope that I'm conveying a universal message to speak about refugees from within, not as numbers and meaningless figures in the UNHCR reports and other agencies. So we are humans. And out of my humanity and humaneness, I wrote this sonnet. You asked me to read this sonnet, Saskia. I'll leave it for the dear viewers to read, but I can tell them what triggered my muse and inspiration to write this sonnet. I'm not a poet, by the way, by profession. I write poetry out of my hobby, and I use poetry as advocacy, uh, framing policy lever for the causes in which I firmly believe. So I have uh, a collection of sonnets I dedicate for humanity. And this one is very special because it speaks my journey, and it speaks the journey of everybody who had to leave their countries and move to another place. What triggered my muse is the scene on the Euronews, and I included this in the video accompanying the sonnet. This reporter from the Hungarian TV or whatever, later she was punished. You know what she did? She just tripped a Syrian refugee. He comes from my hometown, Deir ez-Zor. He's Syria. He fled with his son, a father and a son, single father with his son, fleeing to Europe. And she tripped him.
Yeah.
I wonder, has she ever thought that this son might be Noam Chomsky? When the Chomsky family fled the First World War to America? Hasn't she thought that this son might be Einstein when he was forced to stay as immigrants in the US? So this child, I'm sure he will be an added value to the Spanish community because now he resides in Spain. So please stop treating refugees as numbers and mass uh, creatures moving from one place to another. Because inside every refugee, there is a human being. There are dreams, hopes, plans for the future, and noble intentions to serve humanity, as I am doing my best to serve humanity. So this is Subhi Mustafa.
Thank Thank you. Yes, that I would like to highlight before Nursia starts to ask some questions to you, that the sonnet touches upon a number of topics which are also the story of the refugee. And we have to be aware that there are more than 100 million people that are displaced in the world. And the topics are, of course, the pain of migration and displacement. This is, but also the search for freedom and knowledge, sacrifice and loss, because refugees have to sacrifice a lot and also lose a lot. So there is also the element of hardship and big injustice that is in the sonnet. And finally, something that we are suffering in the world, the division and the universal suffering as a consequence of all these wars and the resulting and the conflicts and the poverty and the inequality and the resulting division that it leads to in the world. I would like to ask Nursia now to start the interview. Nursia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Saskia, and thank you, Subi. Your sonnet really touched my heart, the video that I see being a refugee and how hard is this time for a refugee to leave his or her country, and becoming a refugee is very hard. I can understand it. So first, I would like to ask the question that what are you at the present and doing, and do you have any planned intervention to contribute to impact or peace for your host community?
Well, thank you very much, Norcia, for asking these questions. Well, in fact, after 10 years of refuge in Turkey, I can't but work to return the hospitality of the Turkish community. Because in Turkey, I found a home. Of course, it cannot compensate me for my original home, but now it's my home and I have to behave this way. I really have intentions to serve the Turkish community. But how? I'm a business administrator, not a poet.
Mm-hmm.
As a business administrator, I choose to do business with social responsibility. So I acquired all the qualifications and all the knowledge needed to run business this way. Now, and thanks to Saskia and dear friends Pim, Karen, and Sadet, who helped me establish Market Leaders International. So now I'm the founder of Market Leaders International. That's a social enterprise trying to build bridges for youth, Turkish and Syrians, to the job market. So I have a mission to empower the youth through employability and entrepreneurship and prepare them for the job market. Also, I'm giving my services consultancy to Turkish businesses how to develop their companies into corporates with social responsibility. Thank God, recently I succeeded with the Q2 Tiny House, which is a company in Aksaray. It was a local company, but now it's international, thank God. I helped them develop their business locally first, and then introduce them to international network of business. Tonight, 99.99% I'll receive great news from Africa. I have been appointed officially. I received the appointment letter to be the Impact and Sustainability Director of ME program.
Wow.
ME program is Mind Shift, Empowerment and Employability Initiative.
Wow.
This is a project all over ECOWAS. ECOWAS is the Economic Community of West Africa states. So I'll be working with my Turkish and African brothers in 15 states, and Turkey is the 16th. So now we started ARIA with real business, empowering youth to enter the job market really. But what I loved about my brothers in Africa is that they are thirsty for impact and social responsibility. So I found my lost dream in Africa, but I have to do it from Turkey. So this is what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. So what a wonderful story of your journey since you became a refugee. And your journey started in 2014. And this is also when we met in Gaziantep. I was teaching in Gaziantep with a number of people. And it was 100 freedom fighters had been taken out of Syria to work on the reconstruction of civil society. And I was teaching on entrepreneurship, and I needed a translator because I don't speak Arabic. And this is how I met Supe, who had fled Syria, I think 2 days earlier, and who only had plastic bag with some things. And those were all his possessions. And he worked for a very long time for Spark. And afterwards he decided, because that was his dream. He had been an entrepreneur in Syria. He had had his own business, a very successful language school in Syria. He had it, and he wanted to start his own business again. And this is how he decided to set up Market Leaders International. And he invited us to collaborate with him. And this is where Impact Leaders was born. Together with Supe, we started with our first group in 2018, again in Gaziantep, to teach a diverse group of people on impact leadership and also social entrepreneurship. And we've also asked, because Impact Leadership also has written a book about we wrote a book about our training. I trained a trainer on peace building and impact leadership, and Supe has translated that book in Arabic. So we are now preparing to also launch the Arabic version of our book, and we are very happy with that. But let me continue with the questions that we would like to ask you. And I have 2 questions. Why is impactful business important to you, and how are you approaching this?
Well, thank you so much, Saskia. You opened my memories box and you took me back to 2014. Actually, you were a gift from God that I met in Gaziantep by then. And our meeting was a real transformation for me because I found all the knowledge that I was seeking in you. Thank you so much, Saskia. Uh, answering your questions, why I'm interested in social responsibility. Because in the world of today, some people call it Armageddon now, but it's Armageddon with nature, Armageddon with the bad guys, Armageddon with all the evil powers in the universe. So this Armageddon or uh, Cerberus, this this creature with the three heads, terrifying heads, one head is dedicated for the social problems. So we are challenged with huge social problems. Refuge is one of them. We are faced with environmental cataclysms and disasters that are all over the world now. And also, the third head of the Cerberus is the cultural monster. Sometimes it takes the form of religion, sometimes it takes the form of liberalism, whatever. But in fact, it's a cultural monster that killing the other for any reason, be it religious, be it uh, to free the world. Killing and the bloodshedding is horrible. So CSR or corporate social responsibility is a need now because we need to unite facing this Cerberus, this monster, to handle the three fields of problems on the social level, on the environmental level, and on the cultural level. But how I handle this? I might seem emotional and poetic and romantic in my speech, but when it comes to business, I'm very logical, mathematical. And this is why I came up with Mark Twain Impact Calculator. Yeah. Mark Twain Impact Calculator, it's named after Mark Twain. Mark Twain, it means two fathoms deep. This American writer chose this name as a pen name because he wanted to convey a message that literature and science can go hand in hand. You know, it's funny. Mark Twain earned lots of money from his writings and novels, but he spent them on his scientific experiments. So this is why I chose Mark Twain name for my innovation. Mark Twain, in short, is a computerized methodology and application, both theory and application, the computer application, to meet the need for solid and trustworthy ESG product. So this is Mark Twain. Mark Twain juxtaposes the targets of normal businesses, that's translated in the return on investment, and also meets the need for the other two sectors, the non-for-profit sector and the public or governmental sectors, in creating social return on investment. So in Mark Twain Impact Calculator, return on investment and social return on investment are proportioned. So decision makers, CEOs of corporates, decision makers in the NGOs and non-for-profit organizations, decision makers in the government institutions can have a glance on the screen, interactive, dynamic screen of Mark Twain Impact Calculator and make a decision. Also, it provides very accurate reporting capacities. These reports or this reporting function of Mark Twain Impact Calculator is governed by the latest standard of the European Union. At the beginning of this year, the European Union decreed a directive. It's named ESRS 2023. This directive asks all stakeholders in business to report and disclose transparently all their activities and what impact their activities have on the environment and the social field. So as of this year, the European Union, it's mandatory for all the businesses in the European Union to report this way. And I feel lucky that I came up and invented Mark Twain Impact Calculator 2 years earlier. So now Mark Twain Impact Calculator is the methodology and the computer application to meet the demand and the need of the European companies. So this is what I'm doing. And this is how I handle social responsibility and ESG. Okay.
Yeah. What is so interesting is that you really combine this, because you are also a poet, with this very practical approach and very also understanding, you know, how businesses work and also understanding what's happening in the world. And I think we have to redefine this notion of this concept of what value represents, because we've always defined value in terms of money, return on investment, as you call it. But while what value is much broader than that. Having said that, I would like to give the floor again to Nursia.
Thank you, Saskia, and thank you, Subi, for giving so much insight and your experience in this field. And during your conversation with Saskia, I have pointed so many things what you are doing for your community and how you are doing with the social responsibility. I like this word a lot, because as a human, and we are responsible to do our jobs with social responsibility. And you also mentioned that your mission is to empower the youth, yeah, and also in the Africa people, you will be working with them. So I like these all ideas that you have mentioned. And being a refugees, we are all humans. You mentioned that refugees shouldn't be counted just as a number. They are humans. Yeah. So I would like to ask other questions related to your mission and the work you are doing in your community. So I would ask two questions. What is your vision and relation to peace building and your community of origin? And what forces and the world can we leverage to achieve peace?
All countries are running a proxy war in my country. The image is horrible, but I'm happy we reached the end. This is the last chapter of the Syrian war. Syria will be regaining peace again. And from this experience as individual, I learned how to be a peace or advocate for peace in the world. So what forces we need to leverage to build peace in the world? In my personal opinion, four fundamentals of the peaceful, prosperous, and happy society are: first, policymakers. I know some people might lost the trust with governmental entities, but now it's a need, it's a must that we work with them because the challenges are too enormous for one entity, one person to cope with. So this is the first force. By the way, you are in the Netherlands. I'm following the news. In the Netherlands, there is an entity called Advisory Council on International Cooperation Affairs. This is in English, but its name in Dutch I cannot memorize. This entity can be leveraged because I respect what they are doing. They have a mission, a clear mission. They are working on decreasing the power distance between North and South, East and West. So their mission is wonderful.
Yeah.
Also, you have POM. This is the think tank of the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Yeah.
Those people, Saskia is one of them, of course. So as senior experts in POM, you can leverage your network inside POM and we can affect the decision makers in the government, the Dutch government. I already worked with them for the Spark project. Saskia, we started with a small training and we celebrated 10,000 scholarships in the region, full scholarships, 4 years, some of them 5 years, scholarships. And the project was closed last year. So when you start with a small group and you end with 10,000 scholarships and graduates, now they are graduates, now you can measure the impact. If we leverage good governments like the Dutch government and its affiliated bodies. The second one is business. The second fundament of the peaceful society is business, but businesses with social responsibility. Do believe me, most of businesses with which I'm in direct contact now and I'm giving consultancy to them, they are good people. They're not greedy as portrayed in the old narrative. I don't know, maybe they are forced because they cannot live in their glass bubbles anymore. They have to be involved in the social, environmental, and cultural problems. So businesses, and we have a responsibility to guide them to achieve and fulfill their social responsibility because they don't know how to. We have the know how to. The third one, I have a genuine support for female movements, but not the extremist feminist or the extremist feminism movement. We have wonderful female organizations who function away from this feminism or extremist feminism. So we can leverage them. From this platform, I would like to also extend the greetings to female wave of change. Saskia is the global ambassador. So Saskia, you have a huge responsibility to mobilize this network. And finally, some people might disagree with me, but it's a fact. We have to leverage religion. Religion is the biggest driving force in society. Willy-nilly, 86% of the world's population are affiliated with a religion. So as global peace advocates, we have to respect all those religions and try our best to leverage them. Some might say, well, this is a very sensitive issue. Religion or working with religious entities is like fishing in troubled water. I agree. This is right. I don't mean to go to the troubled streams and the drink. No, we need to go to the spring, to the pure spring. How? I'm a Muslim who is proud of his Islam and who is also proud of Christianity and Judaism and Hinduism and all the religions that have a mission of peace. As Muslim, when I read the Bible, the Old Testament, the Hosea prophet chapter, San Jose in Spanish, San Jose, and read this book with the eyes of a business administrator or a project manager. Saskia, you taught me the tree of life and tree diagram. I will never forget that. And how to diagnose problems on that tree diagram. Do believe me, if you open Hosea chapter in the Old Testament, chapter 4, you will have 3 verses. Those 3 verses, identical analysis of the tree diagram of the problem. Because Hosea, the prophet, diagnosed the problem and gave the effects and analyzed the root causes. So this is what we do in project management. Root cause, problem, and major problem, and we have the effect. This is exactly in chapter 4 of Hosea, the prophet. The first 3 verses, 1, 2, 3. And I'm stunned when I go to the Quran and find one of the shortest chapters, surahs of the Quran, Surah Al-Asr. It prescribes the solution for the problem. Oh my God. This collaboration between the Old Testament and the Quran, one diagnoses the problem, the other one prescribes the solution for the problem. Surah Al-Asr, just 3 verses. God makes an oath that there will come a day when people are squeezed by the neck because of the troubles. And he prescribes 4 things for solution: to believe, to do good only. Do good only is one of the pillars of NGOs. And God mentioned this 1400 years ago. Do good only. Believe, do good only, and recommend you each other to righteousness. Be righteous in what you say, what you do. Say the truth and be patient. So the four elements of the solution. I don't know why nobody reads the holy writings this way. San Jose
Maybe
prescribed, I diagnosed, and the Quran prescribed.
maybe I can react. What I think the world is suffering from, and this is what also is affecting refugees mostly, I think, is that the role that these institutions that you mentioned, policy, business, and also you mentioned religion.
Female.
Yeah, and female, the role of females, is that they somehow have lost their true meaning. And if we go back to rethink about what was the true meaning of religion and the role of religion, and what was the true role of you could say feminine power in the world, and what was the real purpose of business, and what was really what policymakers should be doing, then maybe we will also be able to redefine or go back to what the source was of everything. And I think we've lost our bearing, to speak in terms of journey and on a ship. We've lost our bearing and we have to refine our bearing again. I would like to ask Nursia, because we are going to wrap up, Nursia, to react also to what Supe has been saying. I would like.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sophie, for giving so much information. And really, what you said, it is true, because everything is available, the solution and the problem. We have the problem and the root causes. We know very well how we can solve these problems. Yeah, and every religion, there is a solution. And peace began with each and every one religions. But if we rethink and if we restudy it, and if we review our acts, what we are doing, how we are going against this, yeah, and how we are treating people just because for benefiting ourselves, not to all humanity. So that's why there is no peace in the world. Everybody is fighting. There is war just because they can see the institutions, the policymaker, they are just looking for their benefits, not for all the humanities. And we have this peace in our religion, and every human being is very peaceful, but we just think about this and we just act upon it. So thank you so much, Sophie. And I would also like to give a short review of your sonnet. I like a few lines of this, that our globe is one, but borders set apart our wits and torture every noble heart. It's very beautiful, Subi, of your sonnet. So thank you so much and for this interview and giving your thoughts about peace and how you can do for your community, for the world, to be a peaceful world for everybody. So Saskia, now you can share your information.
I don't have so much to add. I completely agree. And I would highlight also that Nursia, when it comes to women, has been working diligently since 2008 on women empowerment. And she has done that at, like in your sonnet, at great personal loss and sacrifice. And both you and she are an inspiration to me. And I'm really happy that we are doing this interview to also inspire others to really go inside and rethink about everything that's happening around them, and look for ways to think in terms of how we can unite, because that's the theme of World Refugee Day 2024. How can we create communities of hope? Thank you.